I'm here with my co-host Isabella Caracta and point fighting sport karate superstar Rashad Eugene. He's been on the show many times. Welcome back. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain about it.
Good. I'm doing good. Getting ready to go back to school, so hopefully we can move in soon.
So when does school start for you, Isabella?
The 17th.
The 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Hey, and like down here, like there's not gonna be any in-person school in Miami-Dade County, like the school system. So like we're just all the karate schools now down here, like basically doing the distance virtual learning. So we're gonna have kids in our schools, like a limited amount. Doing their Zoom classes in our karate school. So it's pretty cool how we're helping the community and the parents that have to work and they can't leave their kids at home and they have somewhere to go now, so that's cool. I know that Rashad, you teach at Damien School, and I know that he's doing that as well. And how's everything been? Before we get into the tournament, you're the USA Sport Karate Tour champion. You got the power ring. But before we get into that, how's everything been with you as far as like with the coronavirus? Like how has impacted your life? It's impacted everybody, but how has it impacted yours?
Well, for me, I would say that it didn't impact my life as much. Really, just being prepared for as keeping my mask on me. Actually, I have my mask on me right now, and obviously I have the Lysol with me.
The Lysol. You got that hookup with the Lysol for real. That you had that can at the tournament, and I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen that in like 6 months. I was like, is this guy sponsored by Lysol now? That's a good idea. But yeah, congratulations on the power ring that you won, and we got a great show for everybody. Let us know where you're watching from. That's the power ring right there. It was a great tournament. We got a tournament coming up this weekend, Ozark Mountain Nationals, Richard Osborne Jr. Pro Mac event. It's also NASCA sanctioned. And, I saw that he got 30 open weight fighters registered for it between everybody, like juniors and adults. So that's pretty good, and they're doing a great job with the social distancing. They got like this plan. So that's pretty cool that there's some in-person tournaments next week, August 21st is that next week? Yeah, maybe in 2 weeks, right? August 21st and 22nd, South Carolina is the Carolina Martial Arts Open, and Brian Pena. That's going to be a great event as well. So people have options, virtual. There's virtual tournaments and there's some in-person tournaments. At least there's a choice, because there's some people that just want to stay home, and some people that are whatever. They want to go out and live and try to be safe as possible. But those are the events. One more virtual, Pan American International is virtual as well. We're going to have the pre-show for this next week, so look out for that. Okay? All right. Well, that's it. The rest of the show is just about you, Rashad. You're the man, and I seen you grow up, man. One question before I hand it off to Isabella that I haven't. With all this stuff that's going on with the coronavirus, like a lot of people started teaching seminars in private, and I know that you learned some of your stuff when you were first getting started with, through YouTube, right? So have people been learning from you as well? Have you gotten private lessons and seminars virtually?
Yes, actually. Just last year, I had like my biggest seminar. Well, not seminar, but I taught at a camp at the TCK camp.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually have another seminar coming up, which is next week on the 13th. On Thursday, I'm actually going to teach nunchucks. So that's going to be fun. I would say that. And as far as private lessons, that's been coming around. So coming from where I actually started just looking at competitors on YouTube, I'm not going to lie, I actually copied from them to the point where I started doing my own thing, started creating my own thing. And then it just blew up into something where I can actually create my own thing in competition.
Yeah, you have your own style. You think about music, and people have their own style. There's a Rashad Eugene, uniqueness there, that it's pretty cool to see. So I it's been great seeing you grow up and just, become who you are, and you're still evolving. You still got a lot more to go. Okay? You're just getting started. Go ahead, Isabella. I know you got some good questions.
Yeah, I do. So Rashad, you've done both virtual and now an in-person tournament. Can you talk about sort of what you liked about each of them, what you didn't like about them?
Okay, so I technically did, if you count this, I did two types of virtuals. I did video submission, and I did one live virtual tournament, which is the T-Force Internationals in Texas. And what I like about it is like it felt like an in-person tournament. It's just that in a dojo. So that's what I like about the video submission. I like that too. I'll be honest with you. What I didn't like is the fact that I dropped so many times to make one video.
Right, to get it perfect, right?
Huh?
To get it perfect, right?
To get it really good. And with the video submission virtual tournaments, I didn't portray this on social media, but I actually won American Grand Champion, Ocean State Grand Champion, the Independence Cup. Well, I took first place in that. There's no Grand Champion for that, and I also took the live virtual tournament with the T Force Internationals. I took Grand Champion in that as well.
Wow.
And far as the in-person tournament, before I actually talk about that, like when they hosted the first one again in Orlando, I actually see what I like as far as they're following the guidelines for everybody to stay healthy. And I just like, okay, wow, they're actually doing it. They're strict on it. So let me just go to this tournament. So normally I was supposed to do traditional weapons, and it was just one day, let's say 3 days before the event, I just said, you know what? Let me just put myself in fighting. Knowing that I have not trained since December, since that was the last time I fought, and yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. I didn't get to do traditional weapons because nobody was in that division, and I just said, okay, let me just go into fighting, and the end result, I came up with the power ring.
Yeah, congratulations. That's your first power ring, right?
Yes, that is my very first power ring.
Awesome. So I was wondering your thoughts on, as we progress with the pandemic, possibly into flu season, do you think that this in-person, I guess, format is sustainable for promoters? And are you looking forward to doing any more in-person tournaments?
Yes, I actually am looking forward to do more in-person tournaments. As far as me staying healthy, keeping my mask, I do follow the procedures. Keeping my mask on, I keep a disinfectant spray as well, and anything for myself and for others to stay safe and healthy. So I'm actually looking forward to for in-person tournaments.
That's great. Yeah, I know. So you said you didn't get to do any weapons, right? But I think a lot of people know you for your weapons. So can you tell us how many you do? I know you are going to do nunchucks, bow, commas. How many?
Okay, so if you want, I'll try to be very technical. So we have single bow, double bow, triple bow, commas, sword, nunchucks, Japanese spear, aura, which is a Japanese bow paddle, tonfa.
Wow.
There's another one I am missing.
I don't know, like
I am not
10.
going to say bro. I am not going to say bro. Okay.
Hey, that's a good poll. I should put on Point Fighter. How many weapons do you know? Right? I think you're gonna win. Right?
Yeah, that's like the definition of a well-rounded martial artist, being able to do all those. And then we have people who, specialize in one weapon, and then pick something up and don't really know how to properly use it. So that's really impressive. Now, do you have a favorite weapon to compete with versus to train with? Because those are two different things, right?
Train with, I'll be honest with you, commas. To compete with, even though I do compete with commas a lot, my favorite weapon to compete with is double bow.
Yeah. What about triple bow? I think you're one of the first people that pulled that out, and we were all super impressed. But I haven't gotten to see you compete with it in a while, I think.
I think it was just because I was focusing more on the commas and double bow, and really, I'll be honest with you, it just depends how I feel on that day. I have something planned for double bow, and my friends actually know this from me. I'll have something planned for, okay, I'm going to do double bow for this division, commas for this division. Next thing you know, triple bow came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I do train it, of course, in the dojo. So, but probably when in-person tournaments come into play more often, that's when I'm going to start bringing it out.
Yeah, definitely. So do you plan on, I know US Open is happening this year in December. Do you plan on going to in-person for that one?
Yes.
Great. Cool. Awesome. So hopefully we'll see you on IFK's page on TV. That's really exciting. So how do you get your, I know you said that you go on YouTube or you used to go on YouTube to get some inspiration. How do you now get your creative juices flowing? Because you're just so creative.
Well, I'll start with from YouTube. So before I used to look at people like Tyler Weaver, Ross Levine, especially because he does
Mhm.
fighting and the bow. And then I started copying from them, even though at the time I didn't know how to flip. So it started growing. Years passed by. I started growing, getting better, and then basically when I'm practicing, and I just do one mistake, and then I just follow back on that mistake, and I just make it very creative for that mistake.
Wow, that's good advice.
Some of the things that you see me do, for as commas, double bow, or any other weapons that you see in my videos, is actually some of the things were mistakes, and then I went back to it, try to follow that mistake, and try to make it very creative.
Wow. Yeah, actually, I've never really thought about, capitalizing on the mistakes and seeing how I can sort of lean into them, actually, than, getting hard on myself about it. But wow. I know you teach at a karate school. Have you seen any differences since the pandemic, either in your practices or the students? Have they reported anything back to you about that?
Far as the students, obviously we had to switch to virtual lessons. We had to teach through virtual, so that switched up everything. Far as our teaching schedule, our teaching hours, and the kids had to adapt to teaching from a computer, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only change. And then started in April, we started bringing kids a little more often. And here comes Damien.
What's going on here? Hey, what's going on here? I'm trying to have class here. We're having a meeting here. What's going on here?
Yeah, Damien is the man.
More body punch, more body punch.
More body punch.
Power, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I came here, I was actually doing some sparring with this class. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So you've been able to get back on the mat now. I know you sort of felt underprepared possibly for this one, but you still ended up taking the power ring. So that's impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. Started getting back into fighting, and mostly because I stopped fighting from December, mostly because I don't know how many times I'm gonna portray this, but I got another knee injury, but it's minor from the last one. So that one I took very seriously. Took 2 to 3 months off, rehabbing it, icing it, doing all the procedures to get my knee better, and my knee is pretty much stronger than ever. I'll be honest with you. I still have my limitations of what to do, but it's getting a lot better.
That's good.
Yeah, you were hitting hard. You were hitting hard, and man, you looked a little bigger at the tournament. Like you looked bulked up more on the top. You've been lifting too.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I think a lot of martial artists tend to get hurt and then rush back into the competition scene. It turns out, like when you give yourself time to rehab, you come back stronger, as you're evidence of that. Yeah, so that's good. Alex, do you have any other questions?
Yeah. That was like you said with USA Sport Karate, you were kind of observing that first one, right? And they have 4 separate ballrooms. I mean, it's a big ballroom, but they have it separated into 4 rooms. Only 10 competitors at once. The spectators, there could only be a certain amount, and they were spaced out. Everybody had to wear the mask. It was like very good protocol. So that kind of said, okay, they're doing good, and it worked too. Like other people must have thought like you, because the first tournament had 2 fighters, and this one had 4. So that's pretty good. I think that they have a good blueprint on how to do these things with this situation, right?
Yeah. What I like about it is that, and like I said in the beginning, that it started off small, of course, where we don't expect all events to be big when it coming back from a situation like this. And then this second event that just happened this past weekend, it got a little bit bigger. I seen one division. I cannot remember the age division, but in the first in-person tournament, there was 2 competitors.
Yeah.
Now for this one, we're talking about. I think I remember it was 11 and under black belt division. I could be wrong.
Ooh, yeah.
And now this past weekend there was 6. So that number grew a little bit better. So
Yeah.
it's starting to grow back to how it was before. It may even grow even more as long as they keep on following the health procedures.
Yeah, little by little, and you know what? This is gonna help keep the sport alive. Some people are not for it, but I think that giving people choices, and they even give people choices to compete in person or virtual in the same division. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that that works pretty good? Did you get to see a division like that where it had an in person and a virtual in there?
I think I seen the first person ever to win at that event
Oh
while he
yeah,
was in Canada, and I believe his name is Caleb the Hype Boyle.
boy.
If I'm butchering your name, I'm very sorry. Your last name,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very sorry.
that's it. Yeah.
So I seen that kid on many other virtual tournaments, and he's actually been killing it. So, but he did win uh, all three of his divisions, I believe. Yeah, he won all three of his divisions at this past event while he was in Canada,
Wow,
which which is pretty impressive.
that is.
Yeah, and I know there was a Russian girl too that won a division. I think that she's
There
from
was.
Russia, and she won the division. It had like 10 people in it too. I think. Yeah, I forgot what age group, but in forms. Yeah, that's pretty cool. She had been competing in all the virtual ones of USA Sport Karate, and then she wanted to do this one and in person, and it was history this past weekend. Now, do you think that could be something that could work even when things get back to normal? Would you be cool with that?
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I understand that people still feel unsafe about it, about coming to in-person tournaments, which is very understandable. So it could work either. I feel as though it's to work.
Hey,
Definitely.
so how about like the U.S. Open, right? Like a bigger tournament, because we could see this in smaller size. USA Sport Karate right now, it's growing nationally too, but right now it's mainly in Florida, and it's more regional, right? So, but let's say a world tournament like a NASCA, maybe they have to. I think that in order for them to do in person tournaments, they have to change the way they do everything. But I think that it could be done as well if they do it kind of like that. Because look, the U.S. Open has huge ballrooms in the convention center. They could put walls, partitions, and break up the rooms just like that. They could have 20 rings, 25 rings, but in separate rooms. I think that that would be a good format for them as well, right? It's because obviously they can't have everybody in one room like they did before, right? That's
Yeah.
not the way it is now, right? Like you would have to do it that way, and we're waiting for that first NASCA one to do it too. Like I think the Battle of Atlanta, right? It's supposed to be coming up in September, so
Yeah.
everybody's kind of like waiting and seeing, because we've seen the local regional tournament, but not the national level, right? So that's pretty curious thing to think about, right?
Yeah. Very, very much true. Like, it's very curious to see that. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, it must be hard too. It must be a hard because you're thinking about it. A NASCAR World Tournament. They give out money. It's the trophies. You're talking about just prize money and trophies, $30,000 that they get. It's not like they have a lot to lose, so they need at least 500 people just to cover all that stuff. So to have all those people in a safe way, it could be hard, but it could be pulled off. I think especially now where the pandemic rates are lower with ballrooms, you could get things that more economically, better, and then it could work. So I want to see that. I want to see the future, and I'm excited that the sport is still alive and going. And man, it's great to have you again on the show. You're a veteran. I think I need to do a count how many times each person has been on the show. I think you and Kevin Walker are number one right now, an all time on the show in the last 7 years. So it's always great to have you. Isabella, great job tonight. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks to everybody out there joining us as well and watching. Follow our YouTube page. This live right now is on YouTube as well. Live. So we're going to be doing all our shows on YouTube as well. Instagram, everything. I'm getting on all social media platforms. I need to do a TikTok. Imagine our point fighter TikTok. Or like,
You gotta get
but
Shaquan. You gotta get Shaquan to promote that. He's famous on TikTok.
who
So
is?
Shaquan,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, Shaquan. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I want to get him on the show too because he's been blowing up on ESPN and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Hey guys, have a great night. It's almost Friday. Have a